Venice, one of the most iconic and fascinating cities in the world, has a history that resonates through the centuries as a testament to ingenuity, resilience, and power. Located in the northeastern region of Italy, Venice emerged from the calm waters of the Venetian lagoon to become a Mediterranean superpower that dominated trade, politics, and culture for over 1,000 years. Venice's trajectory is a rich and complex narrative, filled with ups and downs, innovations and challenges, culminating in its meteoric rise and eventual fall. In this video, we will explore the various aspects that shaped Venice, connecting ideas and events that reveal the true essence of this unique republic. The history of Venice begins in the 5th century, during the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Refugee populations fled barbarian invasions and found sanctuary on the islands of the Venetian lagoon. These islands, though seemingly challenging for construction and habitation, offered natural protection against land invaders. Venice's unique geography, with its waters interconnected by canals and bridges, became a strategic advantage that allowed the city to withstand invasions and thrive in relative isolation. One of the crucial factors for Venice's rise was its ability to adapt and innovate. From the outset, Venetians developed advanced construction techniques over water, using wooden piles driven into the lagoon's mud to support their buildings. This skill not only ensured the city's stability, but also allowed for the development of a unique infrastructure, where canals replaced traditional streets. This adaptation to the aquatic environment was an early example of how human ingenuity can transform challenges into opportunities. As Venice established itself, the city began to develop a robust economy based on maritime trade. Strategically located between the east and the west, Venice became a vital hub for goods coming from Asia and the Middle East, such as spices, silk, and gold. The city established an extensive trade network, creating colonies and trading posts throughout the Mediterranean, from the Black Sea to the African coast. The construction of the Venetian arsenal, one of the largest industrial complexes of its time, enabled the mass production of Venetian galleys, ensuring control over the seas and the protection of trade routes. Venice's economic power was complemented by its diplomatic prowess. The Venetian Republic excelled in forming strategic alliances and negotiating treaties that benefited its commercial and political interests. Unlike other European powers that frequently engaged in religious or dynastic wars, Venice preferred diplomacy and negotiation. This pragmatic approach allowed the city to maintain a position of neutrality in many conflicts, preserving its resources and avoiding unnecessary drain. Venice's participation in the Fourth Crusade is an emblematic example of its diplomacy and ambition. Instead of marching towards the Holy Land, Venetians convinced the Crusaders to divert their course to Constantinople, resulting in the sack of the Byzantine city in 1204. This event not only expanded Venice's dominance over strategic territories in the Aegean Sea, but also strengthened its economic and political influence in the East. However, this action also created lasting enemies with the Byzantine Empire, demonstrating the duality of Venetian diplomacy, capable of great feats but also of enduring consequences. Internally, Venice developed a unique system of government that combined elements of democracy and oligarchy. The election of the Doge, the Republic's leader, was accompanied by a complex system of councils and committees involving the city's wealthiest and most influential families. This system, known as the Novo system, was designed to prevent the concentration of power in the hands of a single family or individual, promoting political stability for centuries. However, this structure also led to increasing rigidity and resistance to change, factors that eventually contributed to the city's decline. Venice's cultural zenith occurred during the Renaissance, when the city became one of Europe's foremost artistic centers. Renowned artists like Titian, Tintoretto, and Veronese flourished in Venice, creating works that reflected the city's grandeur and sophistication. Venetian architecture, with its stunning palaces and magnificently decorated churches, symbolized the Republic's power and wealth. St. Mark's Square, with its imposing basilica and the Doge's palace, was the vibrant heart of Venice's cultural and political life, serving as a permanent testament to the city's splendor. Beyond the visual arts, Venice also played a crucial role in music and literature. Composers like Vivaldi contributed to the city's rich musical heritage, while writers and poets captured the essence of Venetian life in their works. Commedia dell'arte, a style of theater that blended comedy, improvisation, and political satire, also found fertile ground in Venice, influencing theater across Europe. However, Venice's growth also brought internal challenges. The concentration of power in the hands of a mercantile elite led to practices of corruption and nepotism, undermining government efficiency and economic innovation. As the Republic became more focused on preserving its wealth than on expanding or innovating, Venice began to lose its competitiveness in a rapidly changing world. The lack of economic diversification made the city vulnerable to external shocks, such as the discovery of new trade routes across the Atlantic. The rise of the great European navigations was a devastating blow to Venice. The discovery of direct routes to India and the Far East by Portugal and Spain diverted the spice trade and other valuable goods from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic. This redirection not only weakened Venice's economy, but also undermined its position as an essential intermediary in trade between the East and the West. Emerging Atlantic powers quickly took control of the trade routes, leaving Venice struggling to maintain its relevance. In addition to economic changes, Venice faced increasing military threats. The Ottoman Empire, in its relentless expansion, challenged Venetian supremacy in the eastern Mediterranean. Continuous wars with the Ottomans drained the city's resources and resulted in the loss of important territories, such as Cyprus and Crete. Each naval battle and peace treaty reflected Venice's ongoing struggle to maintain its influence in a transforming geopolitical landscape. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 was a turning point for Venice. The city had maintained close commercial ties with the Byzantine Empire, and the fall of the Byzantine capital to the Ottomans dealt a direct blow to the Venetian trade network. Without the Byzantine Empire to act as an intermediary, the Ottomans began to directly control the eastern trade routes, further diminishing Venice's importance in global trade. Internally, the Venetian Republic faced growing stagnation. The dominant oligarchy was more concerned with maintaining its power and wealth than with promoting innovation or expansion. Resistance to necessary changes and the lack of economic diversification led Venice into a slow decline. While other Italian city-states like Florence and Milan sought new forms of governance and economic development, Venice remained stuck in a system that no longer met the demands of an evolving world. The economic crisis was exacerbated by the loss of territories and the decline of trade. The city, which had prospered thanks to its maritime dominance and spice trade, began to see its finances weaken as new trade routes reduced its revenues. Continuous wars with the Ottomans and other Mediterranean powers also drained Venice's financial and human resources, making it difficult for the city to maintain its infrastructure and naval fleet. Despite signs of decline, Venice managed to maintain a certain level of stability for some time. The city continued to be a cultural and artistic center even as its economic influence waned. However, the increasing rigidity of the government and resistance to change began to undermine the Republic's ability to adapt to new geopolitical and economic realities. The innovations that had been key to Venice's rise became scarce, and the city began to lose its competitiveness in an increasingly globalized world. The final blow to Venice came with the Napoleonic Wars in the late 18th century. In 1797, Napoleon Bonaparte's forces invaded Venice, and the city, unable to resist the powerful French army, was forced to surrender without a fight. The Venetian Republic, which had existed for over 1,000 years, was dissolved, and the city was annexed by the Austrian Empire. This loss of independence marked the end of an era, but Venice's legacy continued to influence the world in various ways. Venice's fall was not just the end of a republic, but also the closing of a unique model of governance and commerce. The Venetian Republic had been an example of political stability and economic innovation, demonstrating how a city-state could thrive through trade, diplomacy, and culture. However, its resistance to necessary changes and the concentration of power ultimately undermined its own long-term sustainability. Even after its fall, Venice maintained its cultural and historical importance. During the 19th century, the city became an icon of European Romanticism, inspiring writers, poets, and artists with its melancholic beauty and stories of power and decay. Poets like Lord Byron and writers like Goethe were drawn to Venice's mysterious aura, contributing to the city's enduring mystique. In the 20th and 21st centuries, Venice has faced new challenges that tested its resilience. Mass tourism, while bringing economic prosperity, also placed immense pressure on the city's delicate infrastructure. The Big N. Number of visitors threatens Venice's cultural authenticity and sustainability, leading to debates on how to balance historical preservation with the need for economic development. Furthermore, climate change poses an existential threat to Venice. Rising sea levels and the increasing frequency of floods, known as acqua alta, put the very existence of the city at risk. Engineering projects like Modulo Sperimentale Elettromeccanico, have been implemented to protect Venice from flooding, but the effectiveness and long-term sustainability of these solutions remain topics of debate. Venice also faces internal challenges related to the preservation of its cultural heritage. The city, once a hub of innovation and culture, now struggles to keep its traditions alive while adapting to modern demands. Restorers and architects work tirelessly to preserve historical buildings and monuments, while the local community seeks ways to maintain the city's cultural identity amidst inevitable changes. Venice's history is a lesson in the fragility and resilience of human civilizations. Venice's rise, built on calm waters, transformed an ostensibly disadvantageous location into a strategic advantage that allowed it to dominate trade and culture for centuries. However, this very stability that enabled Venice to thrive also contributed to its eventual fall, as the city became inflexible in the face of global changes. Venice's history also illustrates the importance of continuous adaptation and innovation. The city's great achievements were realized through the ability of its leaders and citizens to adapt to new circumstances, whether geographic, economic, or political. However, the lack of adaptation at crucial moments led to stagnation and decline. This delicate balance between stability and change is a valuable lesson for any society seeking to thrive in a constantly evolving world. Beyond its historical significance, Venice continues to influence the contemporary world in several ways. Its architecture, art, and culture continue to inspire artists and architects, while its innovations in trade and diplomacy serve as a model for cities seeking to balance economic growth with cultural preservation. Venice's history is a vivid reminder that while superpowers may fall, their legacies endure, influencing future generations. Venice, with its serene waters and rich tapestry of history, remains a symbol of beauty and resilience. The city that once dominated the seas and controlled trade routes between continents now struggles to stay afloat in a changing world. However, its ability to adapt and its rich cultural heritage ensure that Venice continues to be a source of inspiration and admiration for all who visit. Venice's story is a testament to humanity's ability to create extraordinary civilizations, even under the most challenging conditions. From its humble origins as a refuge in a lagoon to its zenith as a Mediterranean superpower, and finally its transformation into a modern cultural icon, Venice exemplifies the journey of a city that, despite all adversities, remains one of the most charming and resilient in the world. In conclusion, the rise and fall of Venice are more than just a historical narrative. They are a reflection on the nature of power, innovation, and human adaptation. Venice teaches us that even the greatest powers are vulnerable to economic, political, and environmental changes. But it also shows that the legacy of a civilization can endure far beyond its own existence. The city that once ruled the seas now faces new challenges, but its history remains alive, inspiring those who seek to understand the complexities of power and human resilience. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Venice's history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise and fall of one of the greatest Mediterranean superpowers, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications for more videos on the fascinating stories of the past. Until next time, for more explorations of the wonders and mysteries of human history.